Okay, guys, how you doing? You see me or not? Let me know. Let me know, guys, if you can hear me, see me. Okay, good. I think you can. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, mate. How are you? Just tell me one thing. It's better like this, or it's better like that. Maybe I can't. Okay, sound and video is good. Okay, good. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I've just been watching Dexter. He just did an interview with a Russian YouTube Telegram channel. It's primarily Telegram. I actually did an interview with those guys, I don't know, about 3 weeks ago. It didn't end particularly well. I didn't really like the way that it was twisted in their Telegram group when it just went to Russian afterwards. Hopefully that doesn't happen to Dexter. I thought he spoke well there. Answered all those questions fairly and honestly and openly. But the feedback I got from the owners of the channel was that they expected me to be impartial, talk about the things that were fair from the Eastern Europeans' point of view, not just the Western point of view, which I did. Just like in my last live, I talked about, Armvox. I talked about things that were fair complaints by the Eastern athletes. However, they told me it was unbalanced because I said primarily the Eastern athletes were in the wrong. Well, being truthful and honest doesn't mean being exactly 50-50. It means where there's people right and wrong, you tell it. And in this case, I believe it's kind of 80% in the people in the West are doing things correctly. And then only 20% of the problems that the Easterners have got are logical. Any guests today? I haven't invited anyone, but if anyone's watching, they can jump on. I actually just thought before I came on, I should have invited my friend Lars Rohr. I thought it would be interesting to have him on here, but I think it's too late. If Devon's around and wants to jump on, he can. Okay. By the way, interesting. How many of you guys, arm wrestling fans, are following things in Strongman? Because obviously all the talk now is Strongman overlapping with arm wrestling, but how many of you guys are following the Strongman? For example, Athel Bjornsson just pulled 505 kilograms, and next month he's going to attempt 510 kilograms. But I don't know if you guys are that interested in Strongman or not. Going to be interesting to see vice versa, of course. The interesting thing about Strongman is that normally it's a non-paid sport, i.e. the live streams are free because Rogue sponsors all of the major competitions and streams it for free on their YouTube. So it's a little bit different to arm wrestling. But the exception of all the major tournaments, the only one where there is a paid-for stream is Brian's. So it goes against the grain. So if there's any tournament that does have a chance of charging for arm wrestling as well, it would be Brian's. But yeah, Strongman fans on the whole are not used to paying to watch competitions. So will they then pay to watch arm wrestling? Well, I don't know. But if you guys that usually pay to watch East versus West do it, won't matter so much anyway. Okay, seems like the Engin situation is in a stalemate. Engin seems to be getting back the same power he had before, and new owners want to retain more control. And Devon is going to step aside for a while. Yeah, I mean, it seems like let me get this chat back up. It does seem like, well, they've said, I think, that they're still negotiating with Engin as long as that goes on, it's going to keep dragging on, isn't it? I made my point clear last time that I think it's a ticking time bomb if they bring him back into it. I think now is time to find a way to work without him rather than panic and try to keep him there. And God knows how it will all end up. So for me, it's kind of disappointing that there's been no firm decision, even if it was that they just bring Engin back and that's it. At least there's something firm. And I mean, Dexter's doing all these interviews, which is good. And the things he just said on like the Russian channel about rules and many different things, I think it'd have been good to have those update announcements officially from East versus West on their channel as opposed to being done on various podcasts. To me, it seems like, again, the communication has not been ideal, let's say like that. Yeah, I also did an interview the other week with Andre, who's GOB channel. He's also the owner of what's it called? He's got another channel. Damn, I've forgotten the name, but he does it in English as well. But it's the biggest channel in Russia and YouTube, like 1.5 million subscribers. He hasn't put out the content yet, but we did discuss the East versus West situation a bit, and yeah, he's going to try and help educate fans in Russian-speaking part of the world on what the situation actually is, because no big channel has yet done that. So I think that will come out anytime soon, but it will be in Russian. Let me see. I made a few notes what we'll talk about today. Yeah, okay. So just generally about my overall thoughts still, East versus West, I'm still kind of hoping for the best for them. Like I say, I'm a bit surprised that they haven't made any more official announcement yet. Hasn't been more communication with the fans, with the public. But all I can say is from all people that I know and trust, they have good things to say about Robert and Dexter there, and that's good enough for me. I've always been kind of the until someone does something wrong in front of me, I don't trust anyone else's word for it, and they haven't done anything wrong in front of me, and I've only heard good things. So that's why I'm backing them. I do think everything is slow. I hope that Engin hasn't got them over a barrel, but that's their choice. It's also the case for some of these Eastern guys that we're hearing from the same guys vocally from Eastern Europe, and they're kind of all being tarnished with the same brush. But not all the Eastern European athletes have the same frame of mind as some of the ones that are speaking out more strongly. You know, who's the most famous Eastern European athlete? It's Schoolboy. Well, you haven't heard anything negative from him or from his brother Sasha. It's not all these guys. I speak to some of the more senior Eastern European guys, and they know what's what. So we shouldn't just tar everybody the same brush. We shouldn't just get into this thing as the Easterners are all bad. I understand why people have a problem with some of them, but it's not all of them. Talked about Vitali before. I don't think Vitali or Devon are ducking their match. Vitali didn't really get very good information in enough time about his visa and things. I don't know now if he could have got the visa. So I'll explain my situation a little. At the beginning, I began to help around the time that I did my last live stream, my only live stream on this. Began to speak to Vitali a bit. People saw even online on some Instagram posts and things, Vitali was there with my business partner in Siberia. However, I decided to completely stop talking, negotiating, because I don't know if I can say I was being undermined, because Robert and Dexter never asked me to negotiate on their behalf. Some of the athletes did to try and sort this thing out. As soon as I found out that Engin was still being asked to speak to Vitali, even Brian Shaw, in the best faith, was, as he said publicly, talking to Vitali's manager. Well, Vitali doesn't have a manager. So all these guys now, good people trying to help, are just getting fobbed off and being told they're speaking to someone's manager. It's someone that doesn't even make any decisions. I know Vitali for years. So it's all just become a bit nonsense. So what incentive do I have? And as I said to Vitali, look, truth is, what power have I got to negotiate on your behalf or tell you something when you're hearing different things from people within East versus West? So I backed out of it. If they don't want my help, they didn't want my help. that's absolutely fine. But it was inevitable then that Vitali wasn't going to America. It's easy for me to say, but if they had, the league had said, here you go, it's 100% on you, told Vitali that as well to get him to America, here's the money, I reckon 100% I'd have got Vitali to America, 100%, because of my connections with him, because of my business partner, who's the most powerful person in the city that Vitali lives, who also has good connections with Vitali. I'm not talking about doing something bad. We're friends with him. It could have made it happen. So it's kind of disappointing to me that yeah, basically they didn't want me to help. But like I say, who knows what's going on behind the scenes? And I just hope it gets sorted out. In terms of the Shaw Classic itself, it's interesting for me because I, of course, strongly involved in Strongman as well. So some of these matches are great, like Loz versus Martins Lissus. Loz is the big favorite, but Martins Lissus is a supremely gifted athlete and one of the most technical athletes in the whole of Strongman. And I'm sure he'd apply that to arm wrestling. I know he hasn't had much time, but if there's anyone that could do well in arm wrestling because of how technical he is, how methodical in his approach, Martins is someone that actually could do well. So for me, that's an interesting match. Just seeing what else. Of course, Todd Hutchins and Dave Chafee was a match I wanted when I was at King of the Table. I think it's a great match. Brian versus Brandon, two big characters. I think it's a cool match. Eddie Hall, he's a huge name. It's a good thing. Can only be a good thing. I would have thought Eddie Hall will win that match. Yeah, we'll see. Robert Obus, for you guys that don't know, at one time he had the American log lift record, so strongest shoulders in America. But I would pick Eddie to win that for sure. Eddie did pretty well against Brian last time. So yeah, for me, it's an interesting event, and I hope it does well. It's a good card, and then of course you've got Devon Larratt on it, pulling twice, probably at the start and at the finish. So yeah, I think it's positive. So support that, guys. I understand the frustration that no decisions have been made firmly from East versus West, or at least not publicly. But I don't think that's a reason to not buy. If you think you'll enjoy the matches, just enjoy it and let everybody else worry about the drama, who's making money or losing money. And about me working East versus West, about my role with Vitali, I only suggested that they needed a middleman to replace Engin in my live stream last time. This didn't come from anywhere else. It's not a fact that that's what the owners of the league want to do. It was just my opinion. So I never had an idea that I would do that or who would do that. It was just my opinion. They should replace Engin with someone that can be a middleman with the Eastern European athletes. And I would have done that immediately in their position and got on with things. But they've gone another way, and maybe it will turn out to be for the best. And I hope so for them. I genuinely do. About the whole thing, Baku, people always sending me different things about that. It's now transpired from Engin. I know he said on his channel that the guy from Baku didn't reply to Robert for 10 days. Well, there you go. So we do know now that he didn't reply. Jesus, it's 2025. And the excuse was because he had a business trip to Moscow. Well, I live in Moscow. You think phones don't work here? We have 5G faster than most countries. I'm busy all the time. I fly all over the place. I get back to every message within a day. So 10 days. It's just, sometimes you just got to cut the crap. He didn't get back. We know that's true now. So we've got that full story. And no wonder that they went with the Shaw Classic. Makes perfect sense. The thing that in all of this that annoys me a bit with the Russian athletes is that it was one of the key things for me when I went to King of the Table that we didn't ban any athletes from any country, and that included keeping the Russian athletes competing. And Engin kept them banned at East versus West. So for those guys in Russia to have forgotten that now and call him brother and all that is a bit of an insult, to be honest. And I've told a few of them directly they need to think about what they're saying and, yeah, some of their principles, because I think it's pretty poor form from a few of them. and they needed to hear it. So that's my opinion on that. And anyone that I've seen calling brother that was a one-time banned by that person, I've told them straight. And I think gradually some of them are thinking maybe they've gone a bit too far with these protests, you know. So this new league, Georgia versus the world. Well, that's the prerogative of anyone. It's a pretty weird name, I would say. Almost a copy of East versus West. It's quite strange to announce it from your car. I don't know. At least give the impression of being more professional. I think it wouldn't do any harm. But in terms of if they want to try it, fine, try it. And if it works, all credit to them. But because of the slowness of East versus West making a decision or not making a decision, this has now happened, hasn't it? Whereas if a concrete decision had been made, maybe there wouldn't be an opportunity for these fractions to open. And I've got to say, like, if I sit back here in Russia, if I was inclined, now's the time for me to jump on it. Right here, I've got Vitali, I've got Simplenkov, I've got Schoolboy, I've got Akimbo, I've got Dadakan, I've got Morozov, Zauer, Smaev. I've got all these guys literally on my doorstep. It's possible to jump in this and really split it for good. And all these guys could pull on their doorstep. In arm wrestling, you can get sponsors here in Russia. So my advice to East versus West League is be careful and get on with it, make a decision, because it's dangerous while it's up in the air. How Gennadi's will go, I'm not so sure, because like the star there is Devon and he hasn't said anything for that. I see a few interesting things, this new league on their Instagram. The only person they follow is Leonidas Arcona, which is a bit strange. The only person they follow, but surely that means that he's agreed to a match there. I saw Ryan Bowen, who's been completely silent for all of this, has commenting on like the first match announcement, effectively something to, you know, it's great, which I also thought was a bit unusual, because I thought his support was for East versus West, and so he didn't want to get caught up in anything. So a bit confused about all these things going on. Perhaps he'll clear that up at some point. But yeah, some surprises there with this new league. Like I say, Schoolboy is an athlete that isn't on this side of the Eastern European protests. So I'm very surprised how underused I know Engin had a problem with him and stopped using him. But now that, you know, I think they should have done everything to have him pull in there. At this latest East versus West tournament, had another Easterner there, not just Kadecha, and a big name could have utilized his YouTube. So seems something amiss. A lot of people wrote to me about this story in breaking in Russia about Engin's gambling on matches and things. First I've ever heard of it. I'm not going to go along and say, yeah, I've heard that, just because I have a problem with a guy or whatever. I've never heard him gamble or anything. As far as I understood, he doesn't like gambling. So no, don't know where that story came from. I've seen it all over Russian Telegram channels. Match fixing is a different question. There was a couple matches at King of the Table that I wasn't willing to have, because I felt I had knowledge that athletes between them could have been discussing how the outcome of that match would be. And I know of a match or two that took place then at East versus West that I wasn't willing to have at King of the Table for that reason. But what happened at East versus West, I have no idea. Incidentally, that doesn't involve any like popular Western pullers. I can say that much. What else? Andrei Smaev. So Andrei Smaev, yeah, as some of you guys know, I'm working with him commercially. Andrei has a kind of right-hand man. I don't know if it's right to call him like a manager. It's like a best friend. There's a little bit of breakdown of communication between those two guys, but he wrote to me about pulling King of the Table East versus West. This was just like a month ago, so obviously King of the Table had finished by then. Then I spoke publicly to GOB, the biggest YouTube channel in Russia. He put a video out, and Andre wasn't happy and said he's got no intention of arm wrestling, pulling East versus West. They don't even pay the athletes. Well, again, this is where the perception in Russia is that athletes haven't been paid by East versus West, and they're doing all these dodgy things. And the longer all this silence and no official announcements, it's led to things like this. People like Smaev believing from the information that he has in Russian language that East versus West are like that. So this is a reputation now that has been lost, and they're going to have to really, really try to claw back. And to claw that back, they're going to need to make official announcements through their own official East versus West channels. So yeah, that's basically, I suppose, my kind of latest update on it. So apart from that, that's why I've kept quiet. I've just sat back and hoped that official announcements will be made. I see there's a big drive now by the guys, by Brian, by Ray, Neil, Devon, to promote Shore Classic, strongest arm on earth. Yeah, and that's the way it should be. Like I say, guys, if you're interested in it, buy it. Don't not buy it out of protest against Engin or something. And although East versus West, the league could have been faster to make decisions. Give them a chance. At least let them get through this event, because it has been chaotic, and see what happens. If you're not interested in the matches or whatever, I'm not saying buy it, but don't sort of cut your own nose off to spite your face. You know, it's that type of scenario. Why are the comments not coming up on here? Okay, I thought you guys weren't commenting, and now I can see a whole load of comments. Okay, I'll get to your questions, guys. I would like to hear the opinions of some of the 27 Eastern Europeans who sent the letter to Robert. The problem is they all got big things to say on paper, but they're all in fear of speaking publicly, like individually, saying something wrong, getting caught out. Like I say, from some of the ones I've spoken to, I think they all kind of have an inkling that's gone a little bit far. And I haven't got problems with these guys. All the Eastern Europeans I've spoken to, some more than others, Vitali, Kalinchenko, a lot of these guys, it's been normal, polite conversations, just a bit of misunderstanding. Straight to the Baku files. Yeah, I covered that. Haven't watched Strongman in years, but I did see Thor's lift. Did you see his eyes? Yeah, I thought got a bloodshot eye or eyes after the deadlift. That's pretty much normal from such high pressure. Straight into training now for 5'10". He's probably the only person in the world that can have that amount of max deadlifts, like around the 500 kilogram mark. Probably literally the only person in the world who can do that, whose body can take that. He's a unique athlete. Why did Vitali flake? It's my opinion that he didn't. It's my opinion that he was of the belief that the Baku event was going ahead, and then he found out online from fans or whatever that it was cancelled and going to America. And obviously, from his point of view, he was like, well, what the fuck is that? It doesn't seem very professional. That's fair enough. Then he was told, oh, you can get a visa and you're just going to have to go somewhere and get it. But he wasn't told where to go get the visa, exactly when. It's just lack of information for him. So from his point of view, I think he thought this is all turned into amateur hour. And yeah, I get his point of view. Why not? After that point, like I say, I wasn't given the go-ahead to negotiate with him. He was still getting more than one person being asked to speak to him, which, as I understand, was the league. And so that was a mistake, in my opinion. So I understand why Vitali was confused, because some of the messages I saw him getting from it's no wonder he didn't know what was going on. Like I say, it's easy for me to say, but I've got a track record of it. If they'd given me permission, I think I would have sorted it out. And we were set with my business partner in Siberia with him, as a lot of you posted me photos showing that. But it is what it is. Didn't happen. Engin can duck off. Him and his Eastern Western lemmings can duck off. I just think the fact is that Engin sold the business, and as athletes, they have to find a way to work with the new ownership. Will there ever be Devon versus Vitali, or is it just a dream at this point? Okay, so I've offered that match at Siberian Power Show next March, because I only have one Siberian Power Show a year, or we only have, so I can only do it then. 100% I can do it then. Devon has said he would come. It's Vitali's hometown, ironically, so of course it could happen. I will address one thing. Dexter said on a podcast that he doesn't know if Western athletes can get visas to Russia. It's very important to make this clear. I can get visas for all athletes. I brought athletes from 8 different countries to the last Siberian Power Show, including Canada, America, England, Poland, and including an athlete who, it's no secret, spent time in prison, Julius Maddox, the bench press world record holder. So he has a criminal record. I even got him his visa. Why? Because I work with the Russian Sport Ministry, which is the government which administers the visas. So I don't want it being said anywhere that maybe that's an issue or maybe I can't do it. I can get a visa for anyone. Do you think more strongman will try arm wrestling after the Shore Classic? Look, it's logical if there's money in strongman, in arm wrestling, that strongmen will move to it, because their careers always end certainly by the age of 40 or 99% of the time. And they can still then have 10, 15 years in arm wrestling and make money. So it's very possible, but arm wrestling needs to obviously get itself in gear, sort itself out. But then it's possible. But you've got to remember, unless you're in the very top few guys, they're not making so much money. Of course, Devon, Vitali, these people are. But if you're just coming in for a couple grand, maybe not. So maybe there needs to be a way to find more money for these guys that aren't in the top 10, because otherwise it's not a definite thing that all strongmen then will just jump into arm wrestling. But the fact that lots of them are willing to try it now, it shows that there's some motivation there. Lack of communication is definitely harmful. What are Robert and Dexter even doing? It should be addressed that Engin keeps provoking Devon every day with Instagram posts. What is this? Yeah, I just think they should give updates on their official East versus West channels, even if it's that nothing's been sorted, but this is what we're in the process of doing. That would be the way I do it, as opposed to them doing it on other people's podcasts. Do you think Georgia versus World Arm Wrestling will pop off like East versus West? Wasn't Powell quite successful? I think it'd be very tough, because I would imagine not many Western athletes will go there. You do probably need those. Like I say, I saw Michael Todd and I saw Ryan Bowen, the 2 Westerners, kind of vocally in support of it, commenting. I don't know what they've got going. And like I said, the only person they follow is Leonidas, which makes me think they've agreed a match with him. It's possible. It depends how much financial backing they have to begin with. Depends if they do book good matches and if there's a high quality stream. If they do, probably people won't buy it the first time and make a loss, but if they can deal with that loss, then the next time it can go. And that's why East versus West have to get their ass in gear, because I talked about all the athletes I have here in Russia that I know if I was incentivized to jump on it now, I could cause chaos by booking all those Russian athletes. I'm not going to do it, but I could tie them all up here. Simplenkov, Morozov, Schoolboy, Smaev, Akimba, all these guys, they're all right here, that I can. So they have to be careful. Robert is a restaurant owner. I don't know, as far as I understand, he's got lots of businesses. And again, people I trust say he's a very good businessman. He also has a high standard in arm wrestling, so knows the sport. So I'm just going to back him that he's doing the right thing behind the scenes, and I hope so. What do you think about GVW? Probably Engin involved indirectly. I've got no idea. Seems like a copy of the name, logo, everything. Certainly don't think Engin has told him not to do it, because if they're all listening to Engin, that's the reason they quit East versus West, surely it's logical then that they would not do it if he was telling them not to. So let's say at best he's not against it. I heard Schoolboy was meant to pull at Shaw event, but had visa issues. As I heard it, Schoolboy was going to pull Chance Shaw, East versus West, but there was visa issues. Yeah, but I don't understand though. With all these contacts, then the whole story is that Robert has contacts and get anyone a visa for 10 years to America, and they just have to go pick it up. Surely he would afford that same visa to Schoolboy with over 1 million followers on YouTube and all that. So again, that opens up questions. Well, what's the truth about getting the visa then? But I don't know that situation whatsoever. I just heard that Schoolboy and Chance Shaw was a match, and that Chance had said that Schoolboy didn't get his visa. Just need a name of the 27 athletes on the list. So, yeah, I think quite a lot of them can be worked out. Engin has all 27 bent over, given it to him good is a huge understatement. It's a bit weird. Yeah. Who did Brian speak to? Yeah. He said he was speaking to Vitali's manager, yeah. As I heard it, Matyusenko has been the spokesperson for a lot of the Eastern athletes with Robert. Ironically, he's one person I've never had any contact with, never come across at an event or anything. But this is what I mean. I swear it gets farcical. He doesn't have a manager. Maybe he told him because he got tired of it, you can speak to this person. But that's what I mean. This is when it's getting a real mess, when you've got Brian Shaw and perhaps Robert, perhaps Dexter, or someone they're assigning, speaking to someone they think is Vitali's manager, who's not. I mean, yeah, it's getting a mess. So I don't know. It's just a bit sad it's gone that way. Let me know if you need help. Thank you, Benjimak. What was Vitali reason saying no primarily? Stress, money, visa. That he didn't know what the hell was going on. No one from the league, as he told me, informed him that Baku was off. No one informed him of what the situation was really, that Engin had sold. No one informed him of exactly where he would go to get a visa and how that process would look. No one informed him exactly if it was true that the rules had been changed or not. It was just a lot of rumors, just a total lack of information. I understand his point of view. I don't believe he was ducking the match. And when the point came when everyone was offering money and said the visa was 100%, I know that the people that were talking to him, either he couldn't trust or he didn't know who was being officially assigned to talk to him. It was messy. Vitali pretending to be his own manager on the phone. Maybe they can't involve you while they're negotiating. Yeah. All I can say is, though, that at the time I was talking to some of those guys, I was seeing some messages they were getting from people that had been given a green light to negotiate, and that's when I was like, I'm out of this because it ain't going to work. But yeah, I would say legitimately, though, if they're planning to carry on with Engin, then it was not a good idea for them to keep negotiating with me, because probably also Engin doesn't want to work there if they're working through me. So they have to figure these things out. You better believe Engin is involved with GVW. Like I say, I don't know, but he definitely wouldn't be against it, because if they're all kind of not competing East versus West purely because he's not there, then they definitely wouldn't go ahead with GVW if he told them not to, would they? So yeah, I don't think it will help his case or his point of view with the fans. Matt, why does the location of Baku matter? They can easily book an event anywhere around Europe at any time. It doesn't matter. I have no idea what this fixation on Baku. Look, they could hold an event somewhere in Turkey again. You know, like you say, there's a million places in Europe, places right now that are basically easier, perhaps safer than Baku, and without all the hassle. So no, I have no idea what the fixation is with Baku. I just think because initially Engin had gone through to try and get that deal. I've no idea why it seems like a fixation. Just put it anywhere in Europe, like you say. That will appease the Europeans. WAF banned them, not Engin. Engin couldn't go against WAF. So you're talking about what I was speaking about earlier about Russians being banned in the early days of East versus West. Yeah, we had the letter King of the Table from WAF. And do you know where it went? It went in the bin. Not interested about that. He could do what we did. So if you're a Russian and you've been banned because of the country you were born in, and I invite you to East versus West, and Engin keeps you banned there because he thinks that's the right thing to do, who's your brother? Short memories, and I've told a few of the guys that pretty strongly, and no one spoke back. Do you think Robert should punish the Easterners for leaving? It's not really good business sense. The most logical thing to do is try to work with them to get them back. You're not going to be best pleased with the way they behave, but logically as a business and just in terms of arm wrestling, it makes more sense to work with those guys. And like I said before, the Eastern European athletes have some legitimate concerns, primarily the total lack of communication from the league with them. So no, I think should work with them, get them back. Let's be honest, outside of Devon and Levon, the other athletes make pennies. No, there's other athletes that made good money. If you talk about the biggest names, John and Dennis and some other people, it's not just Devon and Levon. But yeah, perhaps there's a misconception that all the athletes make loads of money. They don't. Camille, I don't know if it's you, Camille, but yeah, it's absolutely true that a lot of the guys don't make that much money. They definitely need to supplement that income with something else. But how do a lot of the guys supplement that income? Through their social media, through training. How do they get that? By gaining more followers and more followers in the sport. And where do those followers of the sport come from? Initially, primarily Devon, and that's why you've got to be careful and look at the full circle. That's why he's important, but it's absolutely true. A lot of the guys, even that are popular, aren't making that much money. Heard rumours that Morozov will quit arm wrestling, start a bodybuilder career. Have you heard anything about this? I haven't heard anything about that. I think his missus is bodybuilder, fitness bikinis. It's probably linked into that. I'm not sure he's got the physique potential to be a bodybuilder. A bit tall, wide chest, wide waist. So no, I haven't heard anything about that. But if he wants to go for the bodybuilding, good. What is your opinion on a consent-based system for starting matches? A 30-second timer for each athlete, adding urgency. Also, set up foul, 2-second press for consent to register. I don't want to get into that too much because, as I've always said, I'm not an expert in arm wrestling, and there's plenty of fans like yourself asking a question like that who probably have a more sensible and more knowledgeable approach to that than I do. But I absolutely think there should be some kind of think tank set up, not just with athletes, not just with referees, but with fans, to assess some of these things. And if there's an overwhelming vote on these things for some kind of change, why not implement it? Because if the fans are happy, they'll buy the pay-per-view. So yeah, a fan think tank, which is so easy with social media these days. I can put on my YouTube a poll and get 5 up to 10,000 votes I've had before. Devon obviously can do that easy on his channel. East versus West can do it. So yeah, I think they should. Like the stream, guys. Yeah, everyone says to like the stream, so thank you if you do. I'm not sure what I get out of that, but thank you. How soon do you think we will see Devon actually accept a Vitali match? My experience through all of this with Devon is he's ready right now to pull Vitali, as Vitali told me he was Devon. Probably more so Devon pull Vitali. So I think now, of course, this match is happening. I guess Devon won't go to Baku if that even happens. So I guess later on in the year, if that didn't happen, then realistically, probably my event, Siberian Power Show, is the next logical time. But again, I don't know what they're planning behind the scenes, but I believe Devon is up for the match. What was Engin's problem with Schoolboy? I always wonder why Schoolboy hasn't been put in East versus West. As I was told, Schoolboy signed a contract, but then wasn't given matches East versus West. And then Schoolboy pulled one match here in Russia, just a tiny little thing, and Engin blew his lid and didn't bother giving Schoolboy any more matches. So again, at the cost of the sport, at the cost of fans, just as we didn't get Schoolboy versus Ryan Bowen, because at that time Engin had a problem with Ryan. This time he has a problem with Schoolboy. The sport lost out. So there's your great man, friend of the sport, doing everything good for the sport. If anyone can't cut through that bullshit, then you need to, your head shaking. Why wasn't anyone involved with King of the Table punished? They didn't ban them. Engin uses another scapegoat. Why wasn't anyone involved with King of the Table punished? They didn't ban them. Engin uses. I think you're talking about when we didn't ban Russian athletes. Exactly. Nothing happened. They wrote us these pathetic letters, went in the bin. You really think Devon, well, as you saw, look at all the athletes. They all came and pulled for us at King of the Table. WAF thought that the athletes wouldn't come if they threatened that they couldn't go back and pull there. It's nonsense, isn't it? I would be very surprised if Engin was involved in gambling. Yeah, I've never heard that he was. There's strong stories going about it on Telegram, on Russian channels. But yeah, I've never heard of it. Devon accused 2 people making threats to him. Where is the proof? Devon was talking about the situation with Babkin. This is something you guys got to understand. That was the whole thing with the gun and that. I live here in Russia. Some of you know I know Babkin. This is a world I live in constantly. I know about a lot of these people. I know about a lot of things that go on. I know about living that type of life. Where is the proof? If there's proof, if there's not proof, I don't know. Certainly there was a lot of tension at that time, and there was publicly and privately things were said that could have been taken as threats. I think even stuff that was said publicly. It was certainly suggested violence, let's put it like that, you know. But it is what it is. It's water under the bridge. Ryan Bowen is slippery as a slipper. Ryan's got his new tattoo. I saw that. Like I say, I was just very surprised that Ryan, I thought, was quiet because he just didn't want to cause any problem between himself and East versus West. And then he's pretty much the only Western athlete to jump on commenting how good the new Georgia versus World is on Instagram. I found that really strange. I'm not criticizing him for it or whatever. I was really surprised to see that. September, you enjoy WAF. Okay. I don't know if where you're from. Okay. Like I say, if you're a Russian, just remember who banned you for being born in a country. If people are okay with that. No. Okay. Nobody cared that Devon recorded private conversations to use that to move his agenda. Okay, I'm not quite sure about all that. Some of this stuff, guys, about private conversations, threats, and that. Honestly, if it's not relevant to me, some of it becomes like schoolboy stuff to me. I trust people call private conversation. I don't know which conversation you're on about. If you like, you can put it further down, and maybe I'll remember, and I'll happily talk about it if you tell me. Devon had to destroy whole league to avoid Vitali. Devon admitted he uses illegal drugs, and no, Devon definitely was ready to pull Vitali, and I had a number of conversations with Devon. I think if it was down to Devon, who could negotiate with Vitali, this match would have happened, because Devon was very much up for me negotiating with Vitali to get him to the Shore Classic. He was very much trying to get me to do that, understanding that I could. So no, I would say of all the people in this whole process, Devon was the one who genuinely was trying to source out the person to get Vitali to the match. That's just a fact. Do I think Engin is involved? GVW, I've said this a few times. I have no idea, but what I think is there's no way they would have set it up if he had told him not to. So at very best, he's not against it, put it like that. 1 second, I'm just going to grab my charger. Okay. Okay, people talking with Camille here. I know Camille's been upset a lot of this situation. I have spoken to Camille a bit, and we've had normal, reasonable conversations about it. Again, in my opinion, bring in a middle guy that can talk to people like Camille and the other athletes who have real issues that they think that they have, and just get it quashed, and then get everybody back pulling each other. But they need someone to communicate with them. Even like I say with Camille, I think he will tell you here, I've had normal conversations with them. That's what they need, someone to hear what they're saying and communicate with them. I keep saying it, guys, business is a lot about relationships. It's not just what's best for business. It's real people, and you have to deal with people, and everybody has different characters. Some people do need a lot of kind of mollycoddling, and other people hardly need talking to. It's the same in take like Alex Ferguson, one of the greatest ever managers in football, soccer. And he was notorious for some players letting them get away with whatever they wanted, and with others, he would give them hell all the time in the changing room. That's psychology. That's business, the role of a manager and owner. Different athletes need different types of communication, different types of care. You've got to understand that. I would say Camille is someone that he needs speaking to. He needs to be heard, and things can be worked out. Engin built all of this, better trust and Canadian drug addict. Well, Engin built all of this. Well, he didn't build all. It was built off the back of Larry, Juji, Devon, and then it was built off the back of a huge financial backer that Engin had, and of King of the Table and our support. But of course, he did do good work, did do good things, but then he decided to sell it. And even the people that are huge friends of his will tell you that he can be an incredibly difficult character. So however do you think it's going to work when you sell it and then you become an employee? It's just not logical. Devon offered Vitali 10k extra to come. Ducktail denied. Yeah, by that point, Vitali had enough. But again, I don't know at that point then if a visa really was set, because I myself pulled out of it. But maybe that tells you something. If I decided, sorry, I'm not going to carry on with these conversations with Vitali, and I, speaking English and Russian and understanding what's going on, I can understand his frustration. So actually, if I pulled out of dealing with this, who the hell am I to criticize Vitali for pulling out of it? If East West West happens in Russia, can you guarantee visas for all the athletes? Yes, I can. I work with the sport ministry. We administer visas. We are a government organization. It doesn't go anywhere else. The athletes all get their visas. It says sport ministry. In last Siberian Power Show this year, I had athletes from America, Canada, 8 different countries, including one athlete who come out of prison with a criminal record. There's nobody better than me at getting visas. I had a recorder going when I knew I was walking into a hostile setting. I wanted no trouble, just to protect myself. Okay, maybe this is about, is this about Devon's speech after the last East versus West being recorded? I don't know. Yeah, I believe in a setting like that, if it's going to be recorded, it should be said, okay, guys, anything that's been said now is going to be recorded. I believe that would be the way to go. I'm not sure if it was or who recorded it or why. But yeah, I agree. If it's an athlete meeting, it's obviously meant to be something private away from the public. So yeah, I would ask to record in that situation, if that's what you're talking about. But maybe they did. I have no idea. I don't even know who recorded. Camille, people think this athletes make a lot of money in arm wrestling. Yeah, lots of them don't. It's true. Like I say, a lot of them supplement their income from training, online stuff. And where do they pick up clients from? Initially, the most popular people in the sport that bring fans to the sport. That's why we should all be careful what you wish for, because no Devon means a lot less popular sport. You don't have to like him, but we have to understand what he does. But it's true. There's not so much money for everybody. So who was Brian Shaw talking to? I've no idea. He said he was talking to Vitali's manager. I know Vitali doesn't have a manager, but it's possible Vitali told someone at East versus West, oh, speak to this guy on my behalf. Like I said, I was told Matchmaking was like a go-between for a lot of Eastern athletes. Maybe it was him, but I know it's not a manager. So that's what I mean. It's kind of, it's getting a bit farcical, and it's wasting people like Brian's time who've got a hell of a lot more important things to be doing. Engin is tearing it apart. Fuck him. Okay, what are your opinion on consent-based system? Yeah, we had this question earlier, right? Well, you could earn more money, Camille, if you could build your name instead of ruin it like you do now. All the athletes, of course, the more they build their name, the more chance they've got to make money. Vitali makes 95% of money in the year outside of arm wrestling. He doesn't care about 10,000. I don't know. The 10,000 is not an amount to be sniffed at, and especially on top of what he would have made in that match. Living in where he does in Krasnoyarsk, that money would go a hell of a long way. 10,000, you can buy a studio flat there and rent it out, and got lifelong income. So that's how that is. I hope Robert involves Matt. Seems like a sensible guy. Yeah, I've never approached him to do that, and I know certain athletes have approached him because they've then told me they have to get me involved, but I've heard nothing. It's absolutely their prerogative. Maybe Brian was talking to Dennis. Why would Devon offer that if he didn't want to pull Vitali? Yeah, Devon wanted to pull Vitali, that's for sure. And I believe Vitali wanted to pull Devon, but got sick of the lack of communication. Matt sounds professional like Brian, and Camille needs to go back to elementary school. Why don't you do a podcast with Vitali so he can explain his side of the story? He doesn't want to. He doesn't really know what the hell's going on. Doesn't want to say something wrong. And again, I wasn't undermined, but I originally thought, yeah, okay, I'll get involved with this and sort this out. But then when I saw other people were being asked, but I wasn't, I thought, well, sod it, if that's the way they want to go. It's absolutely fine, but I knew they weren't going to get it sorted that way. So I think they made a mistake, but it's easy for me to say. Do you think Brian will quit arm wrestling after this event because of all the clown fiesta? I don't think it really matters too much because I don't think he'll quit, no, because it's an East versus West pay-per-view. His strongman thing is separate. So if East versus West doesn't do so well this time, or does normal or does well, I don't think that's a big difference for Brian. Brian, on the whole, will get paid to go and compete at different East versus West competitions and maybe other ones. He's a big popular name, probably can command a reasonable fee. So I don't see any reason why Brian should quit. Now, he's already got this far into arm wrestling. He's not the type of guy just to give up, especially if he does well. If he was to lose to Brandon, I think it would not be ideal. That's a tough opponent. I'd be scared to give him an opponent like that. We've seen all these mistakes before, haven't we? At King of the Table and East versus West, of guys being given the wrong opponent too early in the sport. So, yeah, I hope he can get through that. Not that I've got anything against Brandon. He's a cool guy. Matt is a stud. I love the business attitude and no nonsense. Awesome. Thank you, mate. School lady boy. Are you going to East vs West 19? I'm not, mate. I'm staying here in Moscow. If Vitali, if I had been charged with taking care of Vitali, I would have gone with him to it. But as we know, it didn't work out that way. Did Brian say he was DOI? What is that, DOI? Podcast with Vitali and Devon. Yeah, there's not much chance of getting Vitali on anything right now until he understands what the hell's going on. And I can't tell him what's going on because I don't know myself. Outside of Lebanon and Armies, the others make any money, they could care less. Well, some of the others do, John and Dennis, and people command good fees. But yeah, there's a lot of guys that don't really make that much money. If the top few in the world are left and right and keep getting those matches, you can do okay. If the top kind of 4, I think you can do very well. No, it won't. European arm wrestling fans pirate and don't support pay-per-view. Yeah, it's a big problem. It's not a culture of buying pay-per-views. I'd be interested to do it at Siberian Power Show and run a pay-per-view in Siberia, and I would literally put it on the Russian fans. Like, if you don't buy this, I've got no incentive to ever put on another comp in Russia again. So, yeah, do or die kind of situation. It'd be interesting to see then what happened. I have a feeling it could spur enough people to pay to make it worthwhile. But you're right, there's not really a culture in the East because you have Contact, which is like Russian Facebook, so VK, and you have Telegram, and my God, everything gets streamed through those things. And in the Western world, they can't block those streams, can't shut them down. Majority of pay-per-view sales are from Western fans. Yeah, that's what people need to be aware about. It is true. Hey, it's me, Victor. I can't seem to send anything from my account. Am I blocked? No, you're definitely not, mate. It's years, I would say, since I blocked someone on this channel. So if you've been able to use this in the last, like, say, 3 years, then you're definitely not blocked. Yeah, in fact, I don't even know if anyone's blocked. People are timed out and things, but yeah. So I'm not quite sure what's happening there, mate. Maybe it's just a glitch with the system. But I will check if somewhere there's people blocked. How did you get involved with King of the Table? I knew all those guys through Strongman, and Devon versus Devon was very expensive to set up, and that was going to be the absolute making of arm wrestling, which basically it was. You needed someone to come on board who was used to these types of sports, used to business, had some money to invest, and that they knew, and sort a few things out. So I came in and made sure Devon versus Devon happened, and it did. I think it was a great success. But yeah, I worked on those projects with those guys and different things with Devon and Thor. I worked closely with them when they boxed each other. With Core Sports and that, I worked with them with World's Ultimate Strongman. All these guys I knew. Did Brian say he was having a break from arm wrestling after the Shaw Classic? I hope not. I have no idea if he said that or not. Probably not, but I haven't heard him say it. We need a Devon Morozov match when his arm heals. Lots of blood between them. It would sell very well. Yeah, it's one thing. You can turn this into a positive. All this kind of genuine bad blood, like, WWE or something. It adds an extra sting to it. Or if they do get these guys all back together, and yeah, genuine kind of bad blood. Yeah, I think it can be good. My God, Devon will make some of those guys angry, won't he? Can Camille, what did Engin create so good if all but the top are getting properly paid? Large pay-per-view sales fix that, and East West can do that. Unified. For Camille, what was it like working with Engin personally? You know, I didn't have so much work with him. It was just a huge shame that people that I owned King of the Table with did, because of course Core Sports had the contract with Engin to stream as well as with King of the Table, which was disastrous. But the interactions I did have with Engin, extremely rude, aggressive, unprofessional, everything for his own gain, and we lost matches, and the sport lost matches for his own personal issues with people. I've got nothing good to say, you know. Sometimes they say it's better to say nothing at all when you've got nothing good to say about someone. Perhaps that's the best case here. If he wants to talk to me, he can. After my last live stream, he had that option. And yeah, I told him what I thought. I sent him what I thought, and he didn't want to talk about it. So that's fine. Please do podcast for Vitali and Devon. Like I say, for the reasons I've said, the moment Vitali won't do it, he might do one with me on his own. But right now, I haven't got much incentive to do that, because what's my position in it all? At Siberian Power Show a few years ago, Morozov lost from Georgi in the super match. Yeah. Well, people don't realize it, I don't think. Siplenkov, Morozov, Schoolboy, Kimbo, Dadakan, all of them come to Siberian Power Show anyway. It's why I could put on an incredible event. Imagine all those guys, plus bringing all over the Western guys. And Devon Larratt said to me privately and publicly on his YouTube, he's good to go. He'll come. So I know plenty of the other guys from the West that will. So it could be a pretty serious East versus West, one of the great cards, I believe, of arm wrestling over these last few years. Yeah, it's not like these guys have never been to Siberia and they're all very familiar with it. And it would be a monstrous stage they put on, the biggest yet. Yeah, I don't understand how Schoolboy has a visa issue either. Yeah, I don't get it. Like I say, if the whole story was that Robert can get all these guys immediately visas, so where's the issue there? But I don't know the full story. That's the thing about that. I just know that there was a story that Schoolboy was supposed to pull chance. He's at Shore Classic, but Schoolboy didn't get the visa. But maybe that's bullshit. I don't know. The problem is that Robert and Dirtmina are weak leaders. Robert and Dexter. Camille. Everyone's allowed their opinion. I just think they need someone to talk to you guys who you guys will respect. But it would be helpful to talk respectfully about each other, both publicly and privately. Schoolboy spends time in the US already. Yeah, lots of times. I'm not sure the deal there. Looks like a lot of you guys getting into it with Camille. Do you think what Camille is doing is hurting arm wrestling? Camille is one of the people that needs speaking to. As I said, different athletes need a lot more speaking to than others. Rightly or wrongly, whatever you guys think, I believe they need a middleman between Robert and Dexter, because it's clear a lot of these Eastern athletes just don't see eye to eye with them. They just can't find the common ground. It can be culture, it can be personalities, it can be a number of things. Rightly or wrongly, I think they just need someone in the middle. So do I think Camille is hurting arm wrestling? I don't think he can harm arm wrestling if you have someone in the middle that stops all of this public kind of problems. East versus West needs a strong leader to sell it to someone else, then complain about it. Yeah. Devon tried to sabotage negotiations between Robert and Engin. Engin had the right. Well, that's one side of the story, but I don't know why any of us should be bothered about that. Robert bought East versus West, and that's where we're at. So you can't go back in time. What chaos? Yeah, it's amateur hour, isn't it? But it's unfortunately it's not amateur hour. It's amateur months now. West has been traveling to East for 5 years. First year he's going West as a strike law, weak as fuck. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of those guys got too comfortable going just to Turkey. And when it wasn't Turkey, Dubai, and had it very, very good for a long time. Forgot that the Western guys are traveling so much. So yeah, it's big part of the reason I think they're upset, just because they had it so easy at East versus West. I can understand absolutely why so many of the Eastern athletes were very happy with Engin. He paid them like he said he would. Not that it was a great business model, and yeah, it was easy travel there. So it was very straightforward for those guys. Here's your match, here's the money, here's the location on one plane 3 hours away without a visa. Of course, they were happy. But yeah, you got to suck it up when things change. Why don't you jump on the call with Matt Camille? Camille, you're welcome to if you'd like to. Respect or did not respect Engin? East versus West gave us the best years for arm wrestling. Well, King of the Table and East versus West did, yeah, but it wasn't sustainable. Hence why Engin for a long time, why who was the owner, was saying he needs to get rid of it, and eventually did. So there was reasons for that business as well. It's not just a simple case. It was amazing. He sold it, and then it all goes to crap. It's because there was already issues. Just because it was great for the fans, it wasn't actually so great for business. Most fans hate Engin now, and Camille shows his true IQ. There's no way back of this. In my opinion, it wouldn't be wise now. It would just be a ticking time bomb if Engin came back, but it seems like that's a route they're still trying to go, which is their prerogative. If they do that, I hope it works for them. Why was there not an honest and straightforward message to the East to clear any misunderstandings from the beginning rather than let it escalate? Yeah, there needed to be fast and quick communication to try and sort that situation out, and there wasn't. There isn't a fault that side, and that's why I said all along that the Eastern athletes did have some legitimate complaints. Can't just say the Eastern athletes are speaking crap and all this. No, they had some legitimate reasons that they had concerns. Not that I agree that this was the way to go about protesting. Seriously, you have not any problem with a guy asking for a gun, especially a guy like that crazy. That's that situation. Like I say, I know both people. One of them lives here in Moscow. I've had dealings with him many times, as I have with Devon. It's just real world. Two people that have been used in their lifetimes many times to carrying guns, by the way. So unfortunately, or not, this is the real world, and people's lives can be very different. It sounds absolutely crazy to a lot of people, I guess, like people walking around with guns and threatening each other, but two people you're talking about, I can tell you for a fact, have done that in their real lives. It's a world that I'm involved in here. So I don't know what to say. It's not ideal, I agree. It's terrible. That's the way it's going at an arm wrestling event, but I understand how it got to that situation. Robert would probably go after Engin, not the athletes. I don't know. But, well, let's hope not. Let's hope Robert stays and fixes it. Matt, you said that Dennis should have had around 10 matches in between John and Devon, but that would require Dennis to prep for each match, which is not possible. I never said about 10, but I said that he should have had some matches in between, and he needed to be matchmake with people that hopefully would give him a test, but there was a realistic chance that he could win the match, not against Devon, who it was almost inevitable he was going to lose. It was inevitable. Just seemed a complete waste. You have to build these things up. It's more interesting for the fans and everybody. Dennis needed that long to prep because it was Devon, who he knew was like a monumental task. That's the other thing. If it was a lesser, no disrespect, but a less strong athlete than Devon, he wouldn't have needed quite so long either. But Dennis is a complicated case because of health and everything. But just to throw him in against Devon or Levon on the second match, that was it. It was a disaster. Andre, how you doing, mate? Hope you're well. Camille, Devon needs to show the probe again. I don't know what the probe is. It was good while it lasted. It'd be a long time till we see it again, unfortunately. Still just about hanging on. I think they could sort it out, but they do need to sort something out before one of these fraction leagues sets up and actually does something good. Because like I tell you, with all these guys we've got around here in Russia, someone could really come in and cause chaos by taking up all these good Eastern athletes as possible right now. If someone's motivated and got the money, yeah, just be careful is my advice to Robert and Dexter. I mean that from a friendly point of view. Be careful, try and get this sorted out ASAP. Maybe other athletes can communicate, but for Camille, he needs a manager or something. The guy's completely super. He's not just hate, just fact. Like I say, I've had conversations with Camille maybe last time a couple of weeks ago. Didn't shirk around anything. Told him what I thought and explained why. And he spoke to me normally. There was no like rudeness. I just think in the real world of business, different people need speaking to, but they just all need someone that they can respect, that they believe will do what happens in the conversation that they have with that person. For whatever reason, those guys haven't been able to connect with the new owners, and so bring someone in. People forget that the channel Body Mania, which is basically Dennis's training channel, has over 3 million subscribers. Dennis is very popular. Yeah, Dennis drew big money. Dennis made plenty of money. Body Mania have their own tournament now in Russia, Armatura. Actually, Zawa was the main event next month, but he's just been pulled off the card. Otherwise, that would have been a big deal for them. The first time they had like a world-class athlete pulling the. I've actually been invited there, like a, I don't know, VIP guest. Maybe I'll go. I'm not sure about that yet. But if a business like that. And Schoolboy pulled at their competition in Siberia. If an organization like that wanted to now try and sign up a load of these athletes, they'd have a chance. This is what I mean. East versus West need to be careful. A lot of argument between you guys and Camille. Money talks. Can't believe that athletes sabotage their own biggest opportunity yet to make a living for nothing. They must have been promised something in exchange. If not, they're really not smart. I don't know. Maybe blind loyalty in this case. They were promised a new league. To the best of my knowledge, they weren't, but they were just told it wouldn't. Engin wouldn't continue there. So they felt if they protest, they'd get Engin back. But I'm not sure they thought would happen. It wasn't going to stay in Turkey, even if he was there. What is your relationship to arm wrestling? You said you don't know much about, but you're quite active. Are you a shareholder? No, I used to be co-owner at King of the Table. Yeah. I have a very good relationship from that time with referees, pundits, announcers, and athletes during my time, everybody got paid, which everybody can attest to. What I said I would do got done. And I tried to bring in things for the sport. I was one who brought in like the cards, the signed straps, different merch posters, a lot of these things. I was up against the wall, everything I tried to do. But I saw avenues that we should have been doing that I tried to do. But like I say, I was up against it. I didn't have significant shareholding, and I got outvoted on almost everything, and it turned to shit. So I walked away from it. Again, outside Lebanon armies, the others don't give a shit. They make more money outside of arm wrestling. Yeah, Camille, I'll say this one more time. It's true that a lot of athletes probably don't get as much as you guys think, but many of the athletes make subsidy to their income through training, arm wrestling related things, and they can only do that through the popularity of the sport. And the person who brought most of those people to the sport to then find those guys was Devon. That's why Devon is important. So he had issues with Schoolboy even. Yeah, Engin had issues with Schoolboy. That's why Schoolboy wasn't getting matches there. Yeah. The problems with Ryan. So Ryan couldn't pull, and then he employed Ryan in recent times at East versus West, and then problems with Schoolboy. So second most popular guy in the sport. Couldn't pull at East versus West. That's your guy who does everything for the sport. It's nonsense. And then, of course, he fell out with the biggest guy in the sport, Devon. So Devon and Schoolboy, the two biggest guys in the sport, so the two guys that, he had major problems with. You wonder why he can't work with new owners. You get that with proper super matches. Guy. Strongman in the USA is trash. If that is you'll hope you are lost. What does that mean? Strongman in USA is trash. So Strongman in USA, you have Brian Shaw. It's the most popular. You have Martin Zlissis, who will be arm wrestling. Lucas Hatton now is one of the top guys. Bobby Thompson. Used to be Robert Olbust. I don't know why it's trash. Maybe this is part of a different conversation. Most of the pay-per-view buyers and money is in the West. Factually, yes. Honestly, the sport was better fractured. Now we have monopoly, and anyone who doesn't comply gets shunned. Well, Engin tried to create that monopoly, yeah. Like I said, I haven't really got a problem with what this GVW thing. They can try it, but surely it's ideal for the sport. All the best guys pulling each other all the time. I don't think this thing's meant to complement East versus West. I think it's meant to compete against it. So I would have thought it will cause more problems. I'm starting to believe East versus West are in over their heads. I feel the Shore event is getting pushed by everybody but them. No attempt to get any hype. Doing promotional videos, etc. is weird. I think they should have just pumped it more, and they should just let everybody. The great thing in arm wrestling that I found compared to even Strongman was the arm wrestling community, how active it was on YouTube, Instagram, all the videos people make. Just let everybody do it. It's all promotion. Just let all you guys get on with it. East versus West are just so quiet, aren't they? Again, even if they haven't made decisions, if I was them, I would have just on their official channels talked about the things that are in motion, just as Dexter just did on a Russian arm wrestling podcast. Why not say those things on East versus West channels? And at least people understand, okay, well, this is in the process, that's in the process. I'm not sure why not. I thought Ryan was going back on the Fox and they were all reuniting, and then Ryan didn't show up. I don't know what the fox is. Sorry, on the fix. Okay, he's corrected below. I have no idea. No idea. He's loved up, I think, in India. Perhaps he's busy with all that. Ryan is Engin's puppet now. I'm not surprised at all. He does what he's asked to do. Okay, I don't know about that. He certainly hasn't spoken out against him after those two were best of enemies, weren't they, for a long time. But the fact Brian's supporting GVW publicly just surprised me, given his stance of saying nothing about East versus West. I thought he was for East versus West. That's why he was quiet. Maybe he's more for Engin. I don't know. Totally speculating. I don't know. By the way, my dealings with Ryan Bowen, when I met him, worked with him on various things, was very good. Got nothing bad to say about him. Found him to be honest, respectful. Why should Vitali even bother going to Shore Classic? Law, if I were Vitali, I wouldn't. Defo could have gone to Baku. Oh, but no, Devon ducked again. No, neither guy ducked each other. Devon wanted the match. Vitali wanted the match, but wasn't given normal, sensible communication. I understand how it all broke down. But Devon tried very hard, even through me, for me to get Vitali to come. But unfortunately, I wasn't given that permission elsewhere. And so I stepped back from it. And I wrote to Devon and said, look, mate, I'm stepping back from this because I don't have official capacity to do it, so I can't do more. Devon is scared to go to Turkey, Russia, Baku. Devon has openly said on his YouTube he's interested in coming to Russia, Siberia, and he's said to me privately multiple times, so I don't believe he's scared at all. I think he would come. I would guarantee take care of the guys that come over, just as I do with the Strongman. They would have the time of their life here. We have a great time over here. Joe, there would have been a Baku event if Devon had said he would go. Yeah, I was just watching Dexter's podcast on this Russian podcast just before I came on. He said the thing stopping Baku is they don't have a good enough main event that would sell. That's their issue. Basically, you need like a Devon or a Levon as a main event. Otherwise, the pay-per-view probably will fail. So I think barring getting one of those two guys against someone, I think that's what will stop it going ahead. Will Gennady be participating in GW and implementing the rules that I believe were the reason why arm wrestlers were upset with Devon? No idea. There's just one match announced so far, I believe, yeah. So if I was Gennady, I would be on that card because you need names. More names, the better. So if I was him, I would definitely get on it. But yeah, your guess is as good as mine. Devon is happy the plan to duck Vitali were, I believe, 50% of people say one duck the other. I believe neither are ducking each other. Genuinely believe that from speaking to them both at length. Genuinely believe it. A whole event collapsed because Devon chose Shore Classic and you deny Devon is the most important individual in the sport at this point. Well, Devon didn't really choose Shore Classic. Shore Classic was agreed when the guy from Baku, from Engin's own words, didn't reply for 10 days. It's a fact now. And up until Engin said that, nobody really knew if they just gave that guy 1 hour to reply. But if Engin says they gave him 10 days without a reply, then now we know that part of it is all true. That's why, for fair and good reasons, Shore Classic came about. Camille blamed North America for all the problems. Devon is Canadian too. He also said that refs are cheating him. Insane talk. Okay. According to Devon fanboys, Devon is Canadian Bruce Lee. How is this possible? If boxing match he threw punches like a girl. Is this the real Camille or what? Yeah, Devon isn't the Canadian Bruce Lee. He's one of the best arm wrestlers in the world. That's what he is. What is going on? Somebody tell me, Gennady creating a new league. Yeah, Gennady has created Georgia versus the World. It's almost like a copy of East versus West logo and name. Announced one match so far. Shore Classic it is, no point in whining about it. Exactly. Shore Classic's happening. If you like the matches, buy it. Don't not buy it out of protest against anything, because you don't know what's going to happen down the line. Maybe it work out as you want. So don't ruin your own experience by missing matches you want to see. If you want to see it, buy the pay-per-view, guys. I think there's a lot of big characters on there. I think some of the matches will be fun. Perhaps it's not the usual kind of quite such serious lineup, although you do have Devon and you do have Hutchins and Dave Chafee. Those are great. But anyway, some of those other matches I think will be pretty entertaining. Brandon Allen giving it to Brian Shaw will be interesting, as will Eddie Hall to Olber. So it'll be entertaining. It will. Do you know when Dennis plans to pull? I haven't spoken to Dennis in quite a long time. If I go to this event next month, I'll see him. But he doesn't look like he's anywhere near match fit, let's say, right now. So they were playing Brian Shaw. Is that so? To hell, I'm not sure anyone's playing Brian Shaw, but I think East versus West gave Brian Shaw contact to try and negotiate about Vitali, but who that contact was, I've got an idea, but Vitali doesn't have a manager, so it was just never going to get anywhere. It's why, in my opinion, they need a middleman that actually can get things done. What is your life story, Matt? Well, we haven't got time for that. Are you ethnic Russian or are you a Westerner who immigrated to Russia? Why? I'm English through and through, old English family. If you actually know England, I'm Cornish specifically, from Cornwall. Now I moved to Russia purely for work and ended up living here. Why? Partly for work, partly because standard of living in Moscow is excellent. And no, as soon as you get out of Moscow, it's not a dump. There's incredible places all over Russia with incredibly advanced infrastructure, and you can drive 3 days and 3 nights on perfect roads to many places from Moscow. So believe what you will. I think I've been to, 30 to 40 countries, lived in America, Dubai, different countries, obviously England. I think I'm in a good place to compare it. That's why some people are blinded by mainstream media. If that's for them, okay. It's not for me to defend it. Live where you want to live. It's absolutely fine. But yeah, that's very briefly my story. Jerry Cordette, Monster, Todd, Dave, John Paulin, all these people in the East, like, and respect Engin. It's the only person a problem. Yeah, none of those guys have any particular problems with Engin, you're saying, yeah? Yeah, but you have to remember that these people don't really work with like league owners like Devon does, because they don't have the draw that he does. They're not as vocal as he is, so it's much easier, they're just quiet and get on with things. But as a business point of view, thank God Devon is in the sport, and that's why he was always going to clash with Engin, because of Engin's personality. Basically anyone that has anything to say is going to clash with Engin. That's why Engin, the 2 biggest draws, Schoolboy, who's not exactly a rude person or anything, but has got a huge following, that rubbed Engin up the wrong way. So, like I said, I understand why the Eastern athletes like Engin. He offered them the match, they said yes or no, he offered them money, he paid that money, and they just took 3 hours with no visa to Istanbul. Of course, they thought everything was great, but they didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. Any thoughts on Henry making things up about Morozov going to bodybuilding? I just don't know. That's the first time I heard that earlier, that about him going to that. And like I say, I think his missus is a bodybuilder, fitness bikini, so maybe the story's related to that. If Morozov wants to go on bodybuild, go and do it. Arm wrestling will be fine. Doesn't want to say something wrong. Is he being manipulated, controlled? So I'm not sure who it's about. Posts. How much does the adversity from Easterners come from themselves versus from a few leaders? Not thinking specifically of Engin here. Yeah, at the end of the day, everyone is grown adults, and for all the blame that can be put onto Engin, some of those guys could have just said, actually, yeah, like, I don't agree with this. But some of them have taken that. Think about all the ones you hear from, but I've spoken to some of the Eastern guys who are not on board with these protests or anything like that. And therefore, yeah, you can't just put it onto one person. Like, you can't just put it onto Engin because, yeah, these people are grown adults and have to think for themselves. Sorry, guys, you're saying I'm reading comments from ages ago. Am I that far behind? Am I? Thing is, I always try and answer all your questions. If I skip them, then what? All right, I'll try and speed up because, yeah, so we'll get back more. Arm wrestling needs Brian Shaw more than Brian needs arm wrestling. I think Devon is right about how big of a deal it is having not only Brian but Eddie Hall as well involved. Can't be a bad thing. Can't be a bad thing. On top of it all, Brian Shaw is a physical beast who potentially could absolutely get into the top 10 in the world, top 5 in the world, or better. That's what's great about it. Matt Rhodes, Camille's in the chat, bring him to the call. Camille's welcome to come on. I can send him a link if he does want to. JR Cruz, Vitali doesn't want to get stuff wrong because people like JR will tear him apart, calling him stupid. Yeah, Vitali doesn't know what the fuck's going on, basically. Mr. Rabbit, you're a great guy, Matt. They should hire you to communicate and negotiate the Eastern athletes. Thank you. It could be an option, but it's not one that they've pursued at this point. But maybe they've got someone else, maybe they're doing something else, and I hope it works out for them. West truly does not understand their East. There's a lot of differences. Information war. Sweden arm wrestling television. Been a while, brother. Turbulent times in the arm wrestling world, indeed. Hope you're well, buddy. Certainly is. It's sad that Camille's well resolves around Devon. If I was Camille, I would, not think about Devon so much because, it's not positive. How much of a difference in pay-per-view buys with Devon versus without? It does depend on the opponent. If the opponent is not very interesting, it's still not going to make the pay-per-views do too much. But if it's Devon against anyone of any kind of merit, then it makes a massive difference, the fact that it's Devon. Pay him, Levon, Dennis, Gennady, Morozov, Vitali, any of these people, then because Devon's there, then it's really, really significant. Devon and Levon are big pullers of pay-per-view. I can't wait to see Camille beat Devon on the left again. I truly think Devon is ducking Camille. Yeah, be a fun match, that one. It'd be a hell of a lot of shit talking, won't there? And hopefully a good match. So yeah, I hope that match happens for the sport and for both those guys. Victor, I think it's a YouTube glitch, Matt. Yeah, okay. So you're back, I think, on your main account. Yeah, I can see your picture and everything. Hopefully that's sorted out. I definitely haven't banned you, mate. I think actually you're a good supporter of mine online. So thank you for that. Do you know what's happening with Zara? I don't know. I just saw like 2 days ago that Armatura pulled him off the main event on their card in Moscow, which I say I've been invited to. I'll ask the guys what's happened there. I forgot. I should have asked them why he's off. I'm not sure if it was asked. You have Smaev written here, and the stream is about arm wrestling, but he stated he doesn't plan to compete, and the only thing you are assigned to is finding sponsors. Yeah, so Smaev's best friend, Sasha, asked me to explore the idea of East versus West arm wrestling for Smaev. I did that. I said it on the GOB channel, but nothing has got resolved with East versus West. Obviously, they haven't said anything publicly. It's a perception in Russia that East versus West is not only cheating athletes, but also not paying them. So Smaev said he's not interested. Why would he go to arm wrestling where they don't even pay the athletes? You know what? I've just left it at the moment. Kind of again, like the Vitali situation. To East versus West sort everything out and say things publicly. Fine. I would rather Smaev didn't go and say that publicly. I sent him a message because it's not that I was wrong. They asked me about the arm wrestling, but because it's all up in the air, he doesn't want to be associated with it. So we'll see. Smaev does what Smaev wants to do, that's for sure. He's an incredibly unique athlete. And yeah, he can do amazing things in what he chooses to do. Right now, he just wants the bodybuild. But in the future, he was looking at arm wrestling even like a month ago. Something cooking behind the scenes, or am I overthinking? He'll be as a guest at SPS at best. No, at best he will compete there. That's at best. Why do you live in Russia? Are you English? I think I covered this before. Yes, I'm English, but I live here. I came for work and stay here, live here. Devon is from Canada. Why does that make Euro guys hate America? I don't know if they hate America again. I think more of them have a problem directly with Devon, yeah, I think. Not that I'm agreeing with that. Matt is not reading many books. Look at his bookshelves. Yeah, there is more here, but actually I don't read many books these days, but I do read from time to time. I'm one of those guys that's a holiday reader more than when I'm at home. Everyone says they don't have time, yeah, but I genuinely think I don't. Probably when I have free time, I do my sport. Did you talk about GVW already? Yeah, we did. Can go back because I think I've talked about it a couple of times. Do you believe that we all ultimately want the same thing for arm wrestling and it's just a communication issue? There's the actual problem, the Engin problem aside. It's Alexander Clark. Yeah, I do. Everybody wants the best versus the best, surely. They want to see good matches regularly of the best versus the best. Surely that's what 99% of people want. Yeah, I believe it's a massive communication breakdown. Yeah. Joe, you are bilingual. So that's for somebody else. I'm kind of bilingual, but my Russian's not that good. Thank Engin for destroying East versus West. Americans will not support an Eastern Arm Wrestling League after what he has done to sabotage East versus West after selling. Mark my words. Perhaps it will go both ways. Matt, this is not Camille in the chat. Yeah, Camille in the chat. Guys, I don't know if it is Camille. Maybe it's not. So it's quite possible it's not. It's probably not worth arguing. If it is him, it's not worth arguing. And if it's not him, it's not worth arguing. God knows. Yeah, when you have 20 matches a show, how can it make business sense? I'd have paid the same amount for 4 matches. Yeah, something seriously wrong when the majority of fans are saying there's too many matches on the card. And when you've got like 16 matches, 16 people losing all the time, it takes the heat and excitement out of everything. It's so many crap decisions were going on East versus West that was slowly killing it and slowly killing the interest in the sport and in the pay-per-views. Is Matt out of the chat? Seems like 20-minute delay. I'm just trying to catch up. Honestly, I was talking at the beginning for 20 minutes and didn't realize all these questions were coming through. Adelaide Joe, Matt, please tell Vitali the fans really want to see him and Devon Paul. The fans don't care where. Yeah, I believe that's the case. It would help if fans got off the back of both Devon and Vitali a bit, I think, because that also pushes a divide. And I genuinely believe both want to pull each other. If I didn't, I would say no odds to me. Friends with both. say what either are telling me. 40 minutes behind. Everyone's saying behind. Baku was in the confirming phase, but Devon weaseled his way on the Robert to take up the short. No, Engin confirmed that Baku didn't reply for 10 days, actually. So now we know that. So bullshit in this day and age to say you're busy. And the excuse is he went to Moscow, so he didn't reply for 10 days. Welcome, I'm in Moscow. You can reply in 10 days. You can reply in 1 day if you're on a business trip. So no, I know now what I didn't know before via what Engin said, that is legitimate reason why they went for Shore Classic instead of Baku. Catty Cats 4, oh, you, Matt, I'm from Cornwall too. I bet you miss pasties. Yeah, definitely miss pasties, mate. Barnacut's pasties are the best. Really miss them. Fish and chips and pasties. But occasionally, like, we make pasties here in Russia, but they're not the same, of course. But yeah, really miss pasties. I eat mine with tomato ketchup. But yeah, Barnacut's. Best ones always used to be Barnacut's in Weybridge. Russia, it's the best place to be. I find it very good here. All I can say is, for people that are not sure, come and check it out, and then you can understand if you like it or not. Holy moly, Matt is reading comments written an hour ago. You guys are saying 20 minutes, 40 minutes, now an hour behind. Stream will be going for a while. I think I'll try and get through your questions, but hopefully I've nearly caught up. Matt, please also letting us you signed Engin this 27 athletes. He's probably not going to want me to say that publicly if he has or he hasn't. I just know his position is more that, like, he's not quite sure what's going on. He doesn't want to fall out with all the guys that he's friends with over on this side of the world. Brent, thanks for putting your skin in the game, even though you don't seem to gain anything from it right now. I hope you get hired by East versus West. Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, I just tried to help, but I understood it's not possible unless I'm assigned to help, because there was other people dealing, and Vitali was like, well, should I be talking to you or should I be talking to these people? They've said, speak to me. And I said, yeah, I agree. Probably should speak to the people that they're telling to speak to you. Not more than a shitty clown show without Engin. Front of house, it might look like that, but from working there, I could call it that. From behind the scenes, working with him. Vitali doesn't know what is going on. Should he spend some time getting an understanding? I heard there was quite a bit of money in it for him. It was very difficult for him to understand because he just needed one person to talk to him. What use is it if it's Robert, Dexter, Brian Shaw, Brian through someone's manager, Engin, all these people I know have contacted him trying to speak to him. He didn't know what the hell was going on. I didn't know what was going on. So how does he know what's going on? It's a serious breakdown of communication. Regardless of athletes, Matt brought Thor, Maddox, Mateus, Reno, etc. So Matt or crew, it's possible to bring athletes. Yeah, of course I can bring any athlete into Russia. Yeah, I brought people from all these countries and more. Yeah, when I say I brought 8 athletes for Strongman this year, that was just this year. And if you talk about previous years, we had more countries: France, Brazil, South Africa. In the last 2 years, like 15 different countries, athletes from. Never, ever. The visa can't be declined because we're administering it. Well, I'm administering it through the sport ministry. It's where the visa comes from. It doesn't go somewhere else to be told yes or no. It's administered. We should have a podcast with Vitali, don't you think? Get his side of the story. He doesn't want to do it. He just wants to know what the hell's going on from one person that the league assigns to him. All those people basically believe right now, well, they haven't got anyone, so it seems logical that they want Engin to be there. That's why these guys do have some legitimate issues here. Nobody wants to hear Vitali's side story because he exposed Devon lies. It's not that simple. And that's coming as someone who's a friend of Vitali as well. I only know one type of pasties, yeah. Pasty. Cornish pasty is a type of food which is it's called skirt. It's like cheap cut of meat, onions, potatoes, carrots, swede inside. It's what the miners used to eat underground. It has a crust, pastry, and like a crust around the outside, and you hold on to that, eat it, and then the miners used to throw the crust away because their dirty hands are on it from the tin mine. It's traditional food of Cornwall, where the place I'm from in England. Okay, I think we nearly caught up, right? Okay, Matt, Devon is in the arm wrestling. Devon is the arm wrestling Hulk Hogan. Sometimes controversial, sometimes doesn't make sense, but without a doubt, arm wrestling wouldn't be where it is today if not for them. 100% agree. Anyone who's super outspoken, super famous is going to be a polarizing character. Of course they are. Polarizing is what's sell. I don't know the percentage of people that pay to watch Devon win, and I don't know the percentage that pay to watch him lose. It doesn't matter. The fact is they pay for one or the other. And it's great. It's fine. Yeah. Make me a mod. I can see. All right, that's the first time I saw that. If I click on the, which I did by mistake there, your thing comes up on the screen. I should have done that all the way along. Okay, I live and learn. Let me just see. How do I do this? Okay, I think Benjamin, I made you a mod. Yeah, I think. First time I've ever done that, if it worked. The guy who says Dennis pulled Devon's whole body with table in right arm, 2018. Okay. So you guys talking amongst yourselves. There are many people that really want to hurt East versus West nowadays. Can't understand why. It's a shame. I wish them the best. I really do. I hope it can all be sorted out. Matt, what's your take on Pradeep? Is he a reliable source of arm wrestling info? I don't really know because I'm not following all the different channels. I did leave a comment maybe a week ago because, my God, I think he'd used YouTube English translation of a Russian interview I did. I think that's what he'd done about Smaev, about Siberian Power Show. And then he had made a video which was absolutely wrong. Like, it couldn't have been more wrong. I'm not sure what went wrong for him. Yeah, he said that I had said that Smaev would pull Dennis, and he put a photo of Dennis. Dennis is my business partner, who's the owner of Siberian Power Show. Yeah, it got it horribly wrong. So I'm not sure why he didn't just write to me and say, I want to make this story or whatever, this video. Can you just check if this is right or that's right? I think that'd be a more professional way to do it. But as for anything else, I think he seems to get plenty of views, and that probably overall is a net positive for arm wrestling. So I haven't got anything bad to say about any of these people. Came in late, would have to watch this later. Hope all well, mate. Thank you, mate. Yeah, if you're bored enough, go back and watch it later. Try to cover a few points. Okay, Benji, you're a mod now, yeah? Okay, yep, caught up. Matt, you probably heard that Hooper wants to do an arm wrestling match. I know you've had a bad relationship with him for a reason, but would it be possible to maybe see Hooper at SPS East versus West? Well, I would imagine he will still be doing strongman at that point, not arm wrestling. Because like the Shore Classic at Siberian Power Show, we have strongman, which I'm the director of, and arm wrestling. But yeah, no one is off. If I had East versus West at Siberian Power Show, I would let them choose the card, and I wouldn't say no to anybody apart from one person, one athlete. Okay, so he He says fake Camille. So there you go. There's no point in arguing with someone that is probably fake. Okay, I think we nearly finished. Really hope things work their way so that Engin is out and you are in by the end of it all. Watch a lot of arm wrestling content, but your stream's the only one I watch end to end. Most sensible guy in arm wrestling. Thank you, mate. I appreciate it. I'm not trying to get a position in arm wrestling. I just kind of offered to help. But when I say I kind of offered to help, I didn't reach out to the owners and say, look, give me this role or something. So it's just a case if they wanted to contact me, they can. And I know various people with some standing in the sport did contact them about me. But that's as far as it went. My position is I hope it gets sorted out. Okay, I think we're nearly finished. Okay, also thoughts on Kirill stating he is disappointed with East versus West, saying to him he will have a match and cancelling them all the time. Not sure if he stated that they were taken from Reddit Arm Wrestling. Last time I saw Kirill was, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. He didn't mention this. Maybe it's happened. Kirill, I think, is firmly on the side of the Eastern athletes, and as you know, at the moment, they're not really very positive about the West, but I've no idea. So I don't want to comment on statements that could be true or false. Devon just got exposed saying he's going to rest and fast for months after facing Kadetcha. Don't you find that strange, as we were all expecting for Devon to face Vitali after? Well, it was bound to be a couple months at least then after matches before he was going to go and pull Vitali. They both need to be fresh for that match. Quite possibly number 2 and 3 in the world, aren't they? You got Hermes there, I suppose, and top 5 guys in the world, let's say like that. We're all expecting them to pull after. I don't know. I don't know what's lined up for them after. I don't know. Okay, guys, I think we're about done. I've been banging on and on. Like the video, guys. Thank you. Okay, guys, as always, I think I've answered all of your questions. So hope it made some kind of sense. And yeah, appreciate you watching. Just do your best, guys. Like I say, the Shaw Classic, strongest arm on earth. Don't not buy it just out of spite for someone else, out of Engin or someone else. If you like the look of the matches, buy it and then just enjoy your own life. Think about yourself. Think about your own entertainment, and they will be entertaining. Like some of those guys, Brandon Allen, Eddie Hall, and that, they will entertain. So yeah, I think it can be pretty decent. So I still say support East versus West, and I understand frustration of them being so quiet. I'm also worried for them that they're not saying more. But yeah, I hope it all works out. Yeah, it would have been much better if they went there. Okay, guys, thanks for watching, and yeah, take it easy. What did Jerry Springer say? Until next time, take care of yourself.